Hi, I'm Talia from Little House on Laurel. I am super excited today because we're in the middle of summer and we have lots of fresh fruit, and we have a couple of 20-pound boxes of cherries that I recently bought from a local farmer, which we have been enjoying very much. I have frozen a bunch for smoothies, and you'll have to check out my chocolate cherry smoothie bowl recipe if you haven't already. We love to eat them fresh. And of course, we always keep some for recipes. I'm excited to share with you this recipe that I created for a date syrup ice cream. I used this date syrup from the Date Lady. You can buy this on Amazon. I'll put a link in the description box, but I was able to find this at Walmart, and I know that it is in many different grocery stores. I do have a recipe for blueberry ice cream that I made using dates that I mixed up into a date paste. That tastes just like this date syrup, but it takes a little bit more time. I opted for this recipe to go the easier route with the date syrup. The flavor that I made for this date syrup ice cream is black cherry chocolate chunk, and it is amazing. If you've ever tried like a cherry Garcia ice cream from Ben & Jerry's or something like that, it's close to that, but of course it's a little bit different because it's my own recipe and it uses the date syrup. My kids weren't even able to tell that it was date syrup and not regular sugar. I love to use natural sweeteners when I'm making recipes, if at all possible. And dates are just one of those that's a better option than refined sugars and artificial sweeteners. Artificial sweeteners can cause different side effects. They are deemed safe for consumption, but there are many people who believe that they cause health issues. And so I try to stay clear of artificial sweeteners for sure. And then I try to limit my refined sugar. I like to use raw honey, pure maple syrup, molasses, sucanat, and then fruit is a great way to sweeten things as well. So like the dates, but also if you use mashed bananas or applesauce. Anyway, today we're using date syrup for this ice cream, as well as fresh cherries. Now you want to use a sweet black cherry. I'm using Bing cherries because that's what we have available in our area. If you don't have fresh, you can also use frozen. That would be just fine as well. So then you can make this ice cream even in the middle of winter if you can't get access to good fresh cherries. This recipe also uses a little bit of lemon juice to help keep the cherries from turning brown because they're pitted and we'll be cooking them. And then heavy cream and half, vanilla extract, just a little bit of sea salt, and then chocolate chunks. And you can use dark chocolate or milk chocolate depending on what you want, but of course if you use a darker chocolate, there will be less sugar involved. You can also buy chocolate bars that are sweetened with stevia or other less refined sweeteners. There are a couple of tools that you'll need to make this recipe. You want to have an ice cream maker, and this recipe will fit into a 1.5 quart electric ice cream maker. You could double it and make it in one of the 3 or 4 quart ice cream makers. I have one of those too, but if I'm only serving 4 people, which is what we have at home right now, then I prefer the 1.5 quart just because you don't have to deal with ice at all. So it's a lot easier. And I will link to that as well. And then I use a blender for this to mix everything up, but you don't have to have a blender. You could use a good whisk or a stand mixer or beaters. So you're going to take your 2 cups of pitted cherries, and to that you're going to add a teaspoon of lemon juice and then 2/3 cup of date syrup. Okay, so now we're going to take this over to the stove top and mix it up and heat it to a boil. Once it comes to a boil, we're going to bring it down to medium-low and let it simmer for 15 to 20 minutes. And you just want to make sure that while it's simmering, you're stirring it often so that it doesn't start to burn on the bottom. You'll know it's ready when the cherries are soft and the sauce begins to thicken. After your cherries are soft and your sauce is thickened up a little bit, you're going to use a fine mesh strainer to separate the cherries from the sauce. You're going to drain the sauce off into a bowl and then pour the cherries into a separate bowl. And you're going to let the sauce sit on the counter for 10 minutes to cool. But the cooked cherries you can place in the refrigerator because you'll need those at a later step. Now that our cherry sauce has had time to cool, we're going to make the ice cream base. And I'm using a blender, but like I said, you don't have to use a blender. You can just use something that will help everything to mix together well. So I'm going to pour, actually, first I'm going to pour the whipping cream, and you need 2 cups of whipping cream. And then 1 cup of half and half. And now we'll mix in our cherry sauce. And 1 teaspoon of vanilla. And 1/8 teaspoon of sea salt. I use Redmond's real salt in case you are curious about my pink salt. It's an ancient sea salt that's mined here in America, and I'm not an affiliate or anything like that. I just really like their sea salt, and you can use it for any of your cooking or canning needs. So anyway, now we have all of our ingredients in the blender, and we're gonna mix that up until it's just well blended. I'm going to put this in the refrigerator to chill for around 2 hours. And after that, we'll move on to churning the ice cream. Okay, now we're ready to pour the chilled ice cream mixture into the ice cream maker bowl. And this has been chilled overnight. So you're gonna place the paddle in and put the lid on. And then we'll start it, and then we'll pour the liquid in. And you'll want to follow the instructions from your manufacturer for your ice cream maker. But this is going to take about 10 to 15 minutes. When it starts to thicken, so about the last 5 minutes of churning the ice cream, then we will add our mix-ins. You wait until the ice cream is thick so that the mix-ins won't just go to the bottom. While this is mixing, I will work on cutting up the chocolate bar into chunks and chopping a half a cup of fresh cherries. And then we also have the cooked cherries that we had left over after we separated them from the juice. Unfortunately, I had an issue with my camera, so you only see me putting the fresh cherries in. I also added the cooked cherries and the chopped chocolate. We're going to let this go for about 5 more minutes, and when it's all done, I'm going to transfer this to a container so that it can freeze for a couple of hours so we can scoop it and put it into cones. Now you can definitely just eat it soft serve style right out of the ice cream maker too. After you've let your ice cream freeze for a couple of hours, it should be ready to scoop. And this is a really fun way to serve your ice cream. You can use canning jars and stick your waffle cones in there. And then I'm going to scoop the ice cream. While I'm scooping, just wanted to let you know I'll have the printable recipe on in the description box, as well as a link to the ice cream maker and my blender. I'll also have links to other summer recipe videos and especially other recipes that use cherries and berries, just all that wonderful summer fresh fruits that make summer so wonderful. So I hope that you enjoy this video. and especially enjoy this recipe for this date syrup black cherry chocolate chunk ice cream. I hope you enjoy.